Hello, welcome back to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more Zee World updates. So the last update about Taste of Fate. Abhi started working as Pragya's driver and a bodyguard, and Pragya begins to love Abhi gradually, and Tanu and Aliyah plans to do something in order to bring Pragya down again. Let's continue. Pragya tells Abhi that she doesn't want him to be around her. Abhi says you get worried and restless. Pragya says no. Abhi says your anger flies away. Then also you act to be angry. Pragya remembers her thought. Abhi says when I touch you, you started losing and become my Pragya. Pragya thinks again. Abhi says I can make you mine whenever I want. He says you pushed me, as you know that if I argue, then you will surrender. He says the same thing happens with me too. Abhi says, I can identify you in the crowd of millions and I can feel you. Pragya moves back and says, I called you to tell you that I am firing you. Abhi says, this is not possible as you have to give me 1 month's notice and 3 months salary. He says, unfortunately, you have to bear me for a month. Pallavi tells Teji about Prachi and says that Vikram wanted Rambru to be here, so she has to bear Prachi. She says Rambru is back, but the pain of 2 years are still there. Dida says that Pallavi has handled the house and the family members alone very well. She says when she was doing everything alone, I took back one of the responsibility from her, which she has been handling since she came here after marriage. She says that this is the keys for the others, but it is the responsibility to me, which a Sas give to her daughter-in-law. She says today, I don't want to give the keys to my daughter-in-law, but I want to give this responsibility to my grandson's wife. Dida says that she will come forward and handle the responsibility, just like Pallavi has handled this house. Pallavi asks Rhea to move forward. Dida says, no, Rhea, I want to give this key to the elder daughter-in-law of the house. She says, I want to give this responsibility to Prachi. Pallavi says that Siddharth's wife is the one who is the wife of the elder son and says that Sid is the elder son of this house and his wife Rhea shall get the keys. Pragya says, who said this? This will not happen. Abhi says you said this and says you have signed these papers. I didn't know that you have signed those papers. Pragya checks and says I signed these papers today. Abhi says you didn't read it and was eager to sign. He says even I had signed without reading and got trapped in a big scam. He says if you fire me, then give me 1,000 rupees. Neha comes there. Abhi asks Pragya to tell her the clauses of the contract. Neha says 1 month's notice and 3 months salary. Pragya asks Neha to take him out. Dida says Prachi became the daughter-in-law before Rhea, so she is the elder than her. Teji argues with Grandma and says that he shall give the keys to Rhea. Whatever you are thinking is wrong. Pallavi says Teji is right, but Mommy G is also not wrong. Pallavi says that we will check for a week which daughter-in-law is more efficient for the keys and says that we will know after a week who can fulfill the responsibilities well, Rhea or Prachi. Siddharth's father says that this is good. Teji says that both are good. Pallavi asks Grandma if she agrees. Grandma says okay and says that the good daughter-in-law will be known after a marriage. Teji says that both daughter-in-laws came to the house and the grand parade is completed. Siddharth's father asks Vikram if he can take a little wine as he is taking medicine. Teji pat on his shoulder. Pallavi looks on. Abhi tells Nihal that he told what is truth. Gautam asks Nihal to fire him. Nihal says that we can't fire him. We have to give him 1 month's notice and 3 months salary. Abhi tells Gautam that he will be with Pragya and asks him to take his help if he wants to stay away from her. Nihal talks to his brother and asks why didn't you tell me that Pragya and Gautam ate Abhi? Abhi comes there. Nihal asks Abhi why Pragya ate you. Abhi says my personality is such. Nihal asks why Gautam dislikes you. Abhi says due to my personality. Nihal says you have contract, but I don't have and I might lose my job. He says he has to work in the garage then. Pion comes there and tells that Pragya is shouting because her window is stuck and every wind is coming. Neha asks Abhi to go and check. Abhi says I will go. He goes there and sees Pragya trying to close the window. He looks at her. A song plays in the background. They try to pick something and their head collide. Abhi goes near her. She closes her eyes. Abhi hits his head on her head. She asks, how dare you? Abhi says black dog will bite if heads collide. Pragya asks him to send Pion to close the window. Abhi is about to go and finds the door jammed. He says, I don't think if anyone works in this office rather than me. He sees her struggling to close the window and comes to her and tries to close the door. Pragya looks at him. and the song continues to play in the background. Abhi finally closes the window. Pragya moves back from him and says that she is going home. She tries to open the door. Abhi asks Pragya to wipe her face and says that you are drenched. Pragya takes the tissue paper to wipe her face. He tries to open the door and finally the door opens. Pragya gets thinking. Abhi smiles and says that the door is opened. Pragya walks out of her office. He says that I'm your servant. If you can't give tip, at least can smile. Siddharth, Rambhu, Vikram, his brother, and Dida plays a game. Vikram says that the game is between the brothers. Vikram's brother tells Rambhu that he is supporting his father. Rambhu says yes. Siddharth says I support Rambhu. Vikram says the game shall be equal. Pallavi smiles saying Vikram happy. Dida looks at her. Gautam asks his father to do something to get Abhi out. His father asks him to work on his plan and asks him to get Pragya signed on the property papers. He says you have planned to get closer to her and get all the properties from her. Gautam says Abhi threatened him and asked him to do something to kick him out. His father says that it is not possible for a month. Gautam thinks that he has to do something. Teju was talking to the helper. She asked Pallavi if she would have tea. Pallavi says yes, make it for everyone and add ginger in Vikram's tea. Teju says, can I ask you something? And says Rambhu wanted to marry with your wish. Then why did he marry with his wish and also left home for her? She says it is good that we came here and met everyone. Pallavi asks her to say it clearly. Teji says that she thought to ask, but then thought not to ask. She says she has sent wedding card of Rambhu to Sano and says that she told me that the bride's name was Rhea Mera and asks if she is the same Rhea. Pallavi says yes, she is the one. Teji says she liked her choice and found Rhea to be the best. She goes. Dida comes there and asks Pallavi if she's happy. She says 2 daughter-in-laws have come and asks her to be happy. Dida says that we shall give equal chance to both the daughter-in-laws and says if you give them equal chance, then they will feel good and think that you are giving them the same importance. Pallavi asks her to attend the important call and goes. Abhi walks behind Pragya. Pragya asks why is he following her. Abhi says that it is my duty to follow you. She asks him to move. Abhi asks Pragya if she wants to go through the staff lift. He says that there is a separate lift for the boss. She says yes, I want to go using this lift. She gets inside the lift. Abhi opens the door and gets inside. Rhea tries to stop Pragya. Abhi asks if I will come using the stairs and says it is my duty. She says I don't want your service. Abhi says if you are intelligent, then if I am stupid. He says my notice period is going on and you will blame me that I didn't do the work properly. He says I will feel bad if I don't do my work and have to be around you. Pragya says I know how to go down in the lift. Abhi says I heard someone that this lift is not working and it needs repair and can fall at any time. He asks if you know how to save your life in falling lift. Pragya is shocked. Teji comes to Rhea's room and calls her. Rhea says that she was keeping the clothes in the cupboard. Teji says you are my favorite daughter-in-law. Rhea thanks her. Teji says that all the kids are the same for a mother, but it is not true. She tells Rhea that there are 2 daughter-in-laws and you are my favorite daughter-in-law. She says that Pallavi was high class and modern when she came here after marriage and you are like that. Rhea thanks her. Teji asks her to win the competition. Rhea asks competition. Teji says competition of the best daughter-in-law and says that whoever has the keys, that daughter-in-law has the entire house in her hand as she keeps them united. She asks her to focus and win the competitions. Says I am with you. Dida hears her and gets upset. Nihal finds the board on the floor. He asks someone to call the technician. Pragya asks, why didn't you tell me? Abhi says, I was about to tell you, but you did not let me speak. They come closer, seeing the light flicker. Abhi says that I am going to the concert. He says I lied that this lift is not fine, and it came true. Pragya says whatever we speak comes true in a day, and says that she is stuck in this situation due to him. Abhi says I will save you. Nihal tries to open the lift. Abhi tells himself that everything is fine. Pragya says you are scared. Abhi says I am a bodyguard and asks why did she shout. She asks him to call the receptionist and says that they are stuck in the lift. Abhi says that I don't have the number due to you. He says if you become good boss, then you will get good service. He says you used to be my assistant when I was a rock star and then you made me move from that #1 position. He asks do you remember and says you are Kados. Pragya says you are a chicho, that is cheap to marry the woman you hate, else you are a liar. Abhi says we are about to lose our lives and you are still bothered about that. Pragya says I will move on and will not discuss my past. Abhi says moved on. He tries to call the manager and says that there was no network. The light flickers. Abhi and Pragya get scared, but they pretend not to get scared. He tries to break the door and asks Pragya to shout for help, being the boss. Pragya shouted for help. Nihal and Pion hears the voice. He tells that they are trying to open the lift and asks her not to worry. Abhi tells Pragya that half lift is stuck between 2 floors. Pragya asks, why are you scaring me? Nihal and Pion open the door and ask Abhi and Pragya to climb up. Abhi climbs up holding Nihal's hand. He asks Pragya to give her hand and says that he will pull her up. Pragya recalls that Abhi tried to kill her the last time and says that she repented when he held this last time. Abhi says that this lift can fall down at any time and asks her to think about her daughter, etc. Dida comes to Prachi's room and says that she will change the cushion. Prachi says that you shouldn't have talked about the keys and says you are the elder daughter-in-law of the house and shall have the keys. Dida says your heart is big and says if you don't have the keys, then how will you give to your daughter-in-law? She says that the respect and the responsibility are connected with these keys, and whoever handles this responsibility is respected and taken seriously by everyone. She says it is the crown of a daughter-in-law's head. Prachi says my mother used to tell me that the respect is earned. She says that she doesn't want to compete with Rhea as she is her sister. She says that she can fight with her, but she cannot compete. She says that if I can give the keys to her happily. Dida says that Rhea must be thinking how to defeat you in this competition and says that you have to win this competition. Prachi says that Rhea doesn't think about me like this. She was immature before, but now she has changed and mature. She says that she is married now and she is not thinking wrong about me. Dida asks Prachi to remember that she is the first daughter-in-law and Rhea's sister later, and she asks her to fulfill her responsibilities. Prachi says I shall keep Rhea happy too. Dida thinks that she is not convinced about Rhea. Prachi asks what is she thinking. Dida says that she is thinking of what blessing to give her. Prachi says that you shall bless me to keep the family united. Dida goes. Prachi looks at Rambru and Abhi's picture and hugs the photo frame. Abhi asks Pragya to give her hand in his hand. He asks her to think who is dear to you. Pragya gives her hand in his hand. Abhi pulls her up and scolds her for showing tantrums at this time and says that your ego is more than your life. She thinks that he saved me again, though I did not talk to him properly. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like my video, share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.